what helps you stay focused, do things. It protects you. It works with that fight or flight system. Okay. Now, over time, as the ovaries stop producing what they were producing, the adrenals should take over. But we live in a society where we are pulling on these guys so much. They are working overtime that they can't necessarily do what they need to do when we're going into perimenopause and menopause so that we can glide into that time of life and not slam into it.
Dr. LaKeisha Webb McMillan is a gifted speaker, integrative OBGYN, hormone specialist, and Amazon best-selling author of The Other PMS, Your Survival Guide for Perimenopause and Menopause. Dr. LaKeisha validates perimenopausal and menopausal women's symptoms, helps them crack their hormone code, and personalizes their symptom solution blueprint. Her unique blend of medical expertise and personal experience empowers women to help their bodies obey again, leading to a snatched waist and sharp minds. Welcome to the show, Dr. LaKeisha.
Thank you for having me, LaTasha. I am so excited to be here, to be part of your community. I am just honored that you are allowing me to be on this platform and have this very important conversation with you today.
Yes, I am so thankful that you came onto the show as well. So, why don't you tell the audience about yourself?
Sure. Hello, I'm Dr. LaKeisha. I am your international menopause whisperer. I validate perimenopausal and menopausal women's symptoms, then help them crack their hormone codes and provide a personalized symptom solution blueprint. And I do that through my concierge practice, my speaking circuit, my podcast, and my Amazon bestseller, The Other PMS.
I love the fact that you also do all the things. I mean, that was quite an impressive list of accomplishments that you are doing right now. So, what inspired you to specialize in gynecology and focus on empowering women through hormonal balance?
Oh, wow. So I start off by saying, I'm a proud Southern girl. Okay, so I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. If y'all hear my Southern accent when I talk about that, and I was blessed to be raised in a two-parent household. And my brother and I often say that our dad was our cheerleader and mom was our coach. So we could run in the house and say, "Hey, I want to go to the moon," and dad would say, "Yes, you can do it. Absolutely." And mom would pull out the notebook and say, "Okay, what's the plan? How are we doing this? I need the SOP, the whole thing," right? And so when I came to them at about 12 years old, after watching this beautiful tape, okay, so y'all know how old I am. There was like a VCR tape, right? My mother was actually helping at a community center at the time. She was doing some things outside of her regular job. Y'all know mamas do all the things, right? And it was called The Miracle of Life. And I saw that tape and it showed a live birth at the end of that whole tape. And I was like, I want to do that. That's kind of cool. And so I said to my parents, I want to be a doctor and I want to be a doctor that delivers babies, that helps women. And they were like, look, we're educators. My dad was a elementary school principal. My mom was working in the college sector. And they said, we're educators. We're not doctors. You need to find yourself around a doctor so that you can know if this is really what you want to do. And so from the age of 13 all the way till I left college, I worked in Dr. Hicks' office in Huntsville, Alabama, from filing papers, the good old fashioned pull the chart out, open it up, put the papers in there, put it back, to following the nurse, learning how to do vitals, checking in patients, even going on rounds with him when I ended up, when I was about college age or even high school age, and then going to his alma mater, Loma Linda University in California, and accepted into an early selection program. So I got into med school at the end of my junior year and started doing classes out there from that point. And I was just like, this is it. Oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. And I tell everybody, if you look at the highlight reels, those nice little dots of your life
Mhm.
that people like to pull out, it looks as if I was checking off all the boxes. I was like, check, check, check. Went to residency, OBGYN, always wanted to do that. Check, check, check. Y'all got reacquainted with a guy I went to college with. He was in my biochemistry class. I'm taking a side street here.
That's
Uh,
okay.
I actually moved my seat to sit next to him, y'all, because I thought he was cute, but he didn't talk to me. And we have this is an on-running joke in our household, but we got reacquainted and we are here now 22, almost 23 years later, 2 kids and a COVID dog, y'all. That's a whole nother
Oh my goodness.
but again, checking off all these boxes, and then life hits you with a 1-2 punch, right? And my 1-2 punch actually came April 2nd, 2009, and February 24th, 2010, when we lost my dad in April of 2009, and then my grandmother in February of 2010. And this tight knit family of ours just had the rug ripped from underneath us. And y'all, I remember after my dad's death, sitting on labor and delivery one night and just going, I can't do this anymore. I didn't like my patients anymore. And that's not me. I did not want, I had, oh, my energy was super, super low. I didn't want to have sex with my husband anymore. And y'all, he's kind of cute. I actually like him. Okay. And I just remember sitting there going, I need an exit strategy, Lord. I really need an exit strategy. My blood pressure one night on labor and delivery was 160 over 110. The nurses were just like, do you need to go to the OR, to the ER? I mean, do you need to be triaged? And I was like, no, I just need to get out of here. And
Mhm.
this is when I took a step back from traditional medicine, came home to be with our children. At this time, we had our second child by now. And I was like, okay, physician, heal thyself first. And that's when I started diving into integrative medicine and functional medicine. And it wasn't a big stretch for me because Loma Linda's motto is to make man whole. So I was always taught to look at somebody as a whole person. Okay. And so I started understanding, hey, your hormones do certain things at certain times. This could be why you're feeling this way. And all, and really starting to put the pieces together so I could see a whole picture. And this is when I reinvented the way that I help women. And I took that step back and I came back. And this is how now I'm Dr. LaKeisha, your international menopause whisperer.
I love that whole story. It's amazing how sometimes you have to go through little mini valleys in order to make it back to that mountaintop, right?
Yes,
It
yes,
is,
yes.
and every time we may not like going through that valley, but it's worth it, right?
That
It's worth it.
piece, that piece. Oh,
It's worth
absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. I remember having talking to one of my coaches here about 5 or 6 years ago now. And he listened to my story. This is when I started, like, after I came out of that piece, and I had my first podcast, which was House Call with Dr. Mac. Actually, that was born out of therapy. That was a therapy assignment. I realized in part of this reinventing that I really love teaching, and I have this beautiful gift that I can take complex concepts and make them very understandable. That I'm a really good medical interpreter for patients. And so my therapist was like, you need to get on a radio show. And I remember my husband saying, I know what you need to do. This is right when podcasting was like really getting hot and stuff. He was like, we need to do a podcast. He was like, we can do it at home when the kids are asleep after blah, blah, blah. So that started there. And then I remember, okay, y'all, pause for the minute brain, my train of thought. So then I found this coach at this point because I was like, okay, how does this look? How can I make this more accessible? And he listened to my story and he said, there is purpose in your pain.
Yes.
And when
Yes.
he said that, a weight was lifted off of my shoulders that I did not realize I had been carrying around for years.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh, wow, that's it. That was part of the connection.
I love that. I love the fact, and I just want to thank you for sharing that part because a lot of folks think that they can just go from mountaintop to mountaintop. And it's like, in order to get to the other step, you're gonna have to go down sometimes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I do appreciate you sharing that valley situation as well. So I appreciate that. So I know a lot of your practice involves adaptogenic herbs and supplements play a role in your therapy. So can you discuss how these natural remedies contribute to hormone balance and overall well-being during menopause?
Okay, Latasha, this is where you're going to have to tell me when to stop talking
Okay.
because this is I love sitting in this space, especially with women. So, when you go into perimenopause and menopause, your hormones have started dipping. Okay, so let's go back and set a little bit of a foundation.
Sure.
When you're in your reproductive years of life and you start your cycle, you have certain hormones, specifically estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Even yes, women make testosterone and we need it, but the
Mhm.
two big ones that we learn about are estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone have this beautiful dance together that actually go up and down every 28, 30, or 31 days. That's your cycle. That's why we call it a cycle. And so estrogen starts going up and it makes the uterine lining grow. It actually makes that nice little lining grow, waiting for an egg to come and plop on that soil so that it can, house a pregnancy. Progesterone is there to make sure that estrogen doesn't make too much grass grow, but it's also there to see, hey, was there an egg fertilized? If not, okay, we're going to mow the lawn, but we got to wait 2 weeks to mow the lawn. Okay, guys? And progesterone has so many other jobs. So does estrogen. We are learning that these two hormones help with our brain health. They help with our breast health. They help with our heart health. They help with our gut health as well. They all have this interaction. And so when these hormones start dropping as you go into perimenopause and menopause, then what happens is your body should actually start switching over to the adrenals to take care of that. So let me tell you what the adrenals are. Like I said, I'm a teacher, so y'all, I have a little model here.
Yay! Love
So
that.
here's your kidney, okay? The adrenal gland sits on top of your kidney, and you have two of them because you have two kidneys and you have two adrenal glands. The adrenal glands normally help you with your stress pathway. So they drip into your bloodstream epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline, cortisol throughout the day. That's what helps you stay focused, do things. It protects you. It works with that fight or flight system. Okay. Now, over time, as the ovaries stop producing what they were producing, the adrenals should take over. But we live in a society where we are pulling on these guys so much. They are working overtime that they can't necessarily do what they need to do when we're going into perimenopause and menopause so that we can glide into that time of life and not slam into it. So, adaptogens, what they do, they come and give these adrenals a nice little hug and they say, okay, here you go. So you don't have to steal from other resources in the body, like the thyroid gland and like the gut and microbiome. You don't have to steal from all these other places. I'm going to give you what you need so that you can continue to operate the way you should. Okay. Now that is just one little piece because the other piece is when you do start going into this perimenopause and menopause, you may need to make some lifestyle changes. That's a whole nother conversation. You may need to start saying no and learning it's a complete sentence. No to some things. But the adaptogens, that's what they do. They help the adrenals, they help the gut. They're adaptogens that actually go and help your intestinal health. They're adaptogens that go and help the brain health so that we can have this whole system talking together and working together.
Wow. Um, so many gems were dropped right there, and kudos to you for bringing the little prototype. I appreciate that. I love
I love
I'm
it.
so visual. I'm like, "Oh, wow, she just whipped out a kidney. That was awesome." No, I appreciate that. That is absolutely amazing. So, your practice emphasizes individual treatment plans, right? So, how do you assess and determine the unique needs of each woman during perimenopause and menopause? Because I'm
Oh,
sure it's got to
great.
be difficult.
Great question. And this is where I believe medicine is going in the future anyway, this personalization. So I test and don't guess. I have one of my super friends, I call her Dr. Sam. She's the one that gave me that beautiful phrase, and she uses that in her practice. And so there are certain tests that I actually have put together for women that come and start and do their hormone hottie reset with me. So I have a
Mm.
3-month intensive that you come and do that with me so that I can get you out of your acute phase. And that testing looks at your sex hormones, your adrenals, your gut health, your thyroid. Those four big major organ systems need to be working together, and we need to assess those so that I can actually put together your personalized plan. I look and see, okay, what do we do for the hormones health? What do we do for the adrenal health? What do we do for the gut health? What do we do for the thyroid health? And be able to personalize that for you instead of saying, "Oh, what are your symptoms?"
Mhm.
Well, I think this is what you need. So I take your symptoms and the data from this testing that I do and put it together and then come up with your personalized symptom solution blueprint.
That is absolutely amazing. So you mentioned working with you. Is that in person or do you also offer virtual services?
Virtual services. That
Okay.
jumpstart is mainly virtual. And so when you
Okay.
come and talk to me, so I do the virtual consult visit is the first way that you get to talk to me. And I assess, is this a good fit? Am I what you're even looking for? Can I even help you? There have been times where women have come and they've given me some information, and I'll say, okay, this is as far as I can take you. I'm
Mhm.
not that person that'll say, well, you have to do my program and then we'll figure out stuff. No, it's like, let's talk together. Let's even see if this is a good fit. Let's see if I can give you what you're looking for. And if you're the type of person that I think I can even help. So that's the way that you do it at first is that you come and do the consult, virtual consult, work with me for the 3 months. And then we talk about how you can become a concierge patient and work with me on an ongoing basis. I do have patients that come to me once they become a concierge patient if they don't live in the Maryland, DC area.
Got it. Got it. I think you're probably going to have a lot of people contacting you after this. So that's why I figured let me just get that out of the way because I know everyone's going to probably going to ask, wait, is she virtual? I need
Yes,
somebody virtual.
yes,
So
yes,
that's why I
please
asked that question.
do.
So you've shared so many gems already, and you've also authored The Other PMS, Your Survival Guide for Perimenopause and Menopause. So, what motivated you to write this book, and how can it assist women navigating through these life stages?
Oh, wow. The reason I wanted to write the book was because I felt like there were certain conversations that I kept having with my girlfriends that I
Mhm.
felt that other girlfriends needed to have. So, and I'll be transparent. We can be transparent on this
Of
show, right?
course,
Okay.
yes.
So I'll be transparent. When I first wrote the book, and I got it back, and I saw it, and I was like, and then I realized the book was not written for my colleagues. The book was written as if you are sitting with your girlfriend on the couch and she just happens to be a doctor, and she kind of pulled back the curtain and said, "You want to know some stuff? Let me tell you what I know." And
Nice.
that's how the book is written. And it gives you just the ability to not be so afraid of what you're either going through or what's coming. And so now it's time for me to write the second. It's time for me to write volume two because I've gained so much knowledge in working with more women and have a lot more to give. So you all are making me accountable. I'm saying this out loud for the first time. It's time for me to write volume two.
Yes. Do it. Do it. Do it, do it, and make it a workbook too. So I'm putting 2 on you. I'm making 2. Make
Ooh,
it 2.
ooh, ooh. Okay,
2.
okay, okay.
That's
Yes,
my
yes.
challenge. That's the
I
Hustle and Faith challenge.
I accept. I accept. Oh my gosh. See, this is what happens when you keep talking too much. This is what happens. But this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes, because I cannot wait to read that book myself. I think there's so many, I mean, this conversation is very much needed, and especially from a different perspective as well. That's the one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you on the show too, because I knew you were a wealth of info, but very rarely do you hear this topic talked about from our perspective.
Absolutely.
And and if I recall, I think I remember reading we suffer the most in terms of these symptoms.
So, African American women, Black women, we actually tend to go into perimenopause earlier, and our symptoms tend to be more intense, and we go through some of our symptoms last longer. Now, this is where I would have a caveat because I actually stopped using the term postmenopausal a lot. So let's go to some textbook definitions.
Okay.
So the definition of menopause is just 12 consecutive months without a period. That's it. It does not, the definition doesn't include the symptoms. And the reason for that is that we have now uncovered that there are over 100 different symptoms of perimenopause and menopause.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the thing. Because when your hormones start doing this dip and they start dropping, everybody's symptoms can be different because it will affect your organ systems differently. Okay.
Mm.
So, perimenopause, though, I call it purgatory, y'all, because this can start 5, 7, 10, 15 years before you go into
That's such a good
menopause.
uh
Okay.
Oh,
This is where a lot of women start going to their doctor and they're saying, I can't sleep. My hair is falling out. I'm gaining weight and all I do is breathe air. Get confused now. I feel like I have early onset Alzheimer's. I need to see a neurologist. I'm waking up in the middle of the night. I can't get any good sleep. My heart is palpitating. I need to go and get the cardiac workup. My skin is itchy. I have ringing in the ears. My ears are itchy. I have these phantom smells. I have burning in my mouth. Okay, all these things, y'all. I'm listing all my own symptoms too, okay? And so, because we have this variety of symptoms, this is where the confusion, where the gray areas, where you go to your doctor does your labs, and say it with me. What do they tell you? Everything is normal, right? Well, there's optimization, there's optimal levels that, and you feel bad because your levels have dropped from where you used to be. Okay.
mm.
And so now you have this perimenopausal time of life that can start in your mid to late 30s for some people, and that's kind of us, okay? And Latino women as well is right, they're right behind us. So Black women, Latino, when we start earlier, our symptoms can last longer. When we say symptoms, that can be anywhere from your hot flashes. So, a lot of studies just look at what we call vasomotor symptoms, which are your hot flashes, night sweats, and vaginal dryness. And those tend to be the loss of estrogen. Okay. Those symptoms tend to come from the loss of estrogen. And so these symptoms can be intense. These are the things that are outward, where you have that woman standing in the boardroom and all of a sudden she's sweating. You have that scene from Blackish where Rainbow just starts taking off her clothes and dips her head in the freezer, right? You have some people call them flash periods, where you have the scene of Charlotte on Sex in the City where she's wearing her white jumpsuit, hasn't had a period for months, and then she walks by her friends and oh my gosh, she has a period and messes up her clothes, right? So these are some of these symptoms that you can have. Irregular cycles. Some women never had cramps and now they have cramps. Those type of things. And so you have this, you go into menopause, and some people say postmenopause starts at 12 months and 1 day, 12 months and 1 month. And I found that when we used the term postmenopausal, women felt like they were done with something and that their bodies should go back to something else. They're like, whoo, I'm finished with that. I am through. I am done. You are going to
Check
spend
that box.
right. Ooh, got through that. My goodness. Even Halle Berry, I heard her on Trevor Noah's podcast. She said,
Yeah.
do you know, I thought I was going to skip it. I thought I was going to miss it because I ate right. I did the things. She was like, I reversed my diabetes when I was young from having to be an insulin dependent diabetic. So I thought I was going to skip perimenopause and menopause. And so what I want you to understand is you are going to spend the last third of your life in menopause. So I just say we're in that menopausal phase. Okay. And it's important. Now, let's go back to the definition of menopause. It's important to know it's 12 consecutive months, no period. So if you go 6 months and have a period, you got to start the clock over. If you go 9 months and have a period, you got to start the clock over. If you go 11 months and have a period, you got to start the clock over, because if you have 12 consecutive months, no period, you're not on hormone therapy, you're not on anything, and you have a what we call postmenopausal bleed, you need to be evaluated for uterine cancer. Now, I'm not saying all postmenopausal bleeds are uterine cancer. What I'm saying is that's one of the big diagnoses that you need to have ruled out. Okay, so that's very important.
Gotcha, gotcha. Again, so many gems you are sharing. So I know I for one am learning a lot, and I know the audience is as well. So next question would be, looking ahead, what changes or advancements do you hope to see in the field of women's health, particularly concerning menopause management? Because a lot of what you're saying, how should I politely put this? I feel like not many doctors are either knowledgeable about what you've shared, or I don't know, just outright dismissive. So, what advancements can we expect to see in the future, or what do you want to see?
Ooh, such a great question. You're asking some great questions here. Um, that are just that are riling me up, okay, that are making me stand on my soapbox today.
Please stand on the soapbox as long as you want.
Uh, the advancements that I want to see, we're starting to see some of them. One of them is this louder conversation that's starting to be had with women in general. We're not standing for our grandmothers and mothers' menopause anymore. And that was the menopause where, one, I don't fault them, because I don't think they had even the verbiage in their vernacular to talk about it. They did not know what was going on with them. They were dismissed. If you even look at the social construct of menopause from the 1700s up till now, it was looked at as a moral failure, a character flaw, that something was wrong with women. That's where medicine actually started. Okay. And so when we look at where we've come from, we need to know that, so that as we look forward, we can have bigger and broader conversations. I think one of the big things that needs to happen is we really need to dismantle some of the thoughts around hormone replacement therapy that came up with the study, the WHI study. I feel I have a special connection to that, because that WHI study came out 2 weeks after I started residency in OBGYN. So
WHI study, can
that
you
is the Women's Health Initiative study.
thank you.
That's a big study that had 40 centers. It had about 100,000 women in it. I mean, it was huge. And what they were doing was they were trying to look at how could they prevent morbidity and mortality through cardiovascular disease in women,
Oh, wow.
osteoporosis, and breast cancer. So, but what happened is they were using synthetic hormones, and they thought they saw an increased risk in breast cancer. They were using estrogen from horses' urine, and they were using synthetic progesterone, which is called a progestin. And
Mm.
so, having this information, what happened is they stopped the study prematurely. They published this paper. They had statisticians come on and do this big press conference and threw around a whole bunch of numbers, and it scared everybody.
Huh.
We got the whole take them off of this. It's bad. And the conversation never continued and said, okay, but this is what we're looking at now, which are called bioidentical hormones.
Hmm.
Bioidentical hormones look just like what your body used to make. Biological hormones are what your body makes. Bioidentical look just like it, and it uses an organic base, mainly like a yam root or something like that. And they make it so that it looks just like what your body used to make, and your body takes it in and goes, I know what to do with this. I remember, this is estrogen, this is progesterone. Okay, we got to break it down like this. We got to take this group off of it, shove that over to the liver. We got to take this down to the gut. We got to change it like a Rubik's cube. So okay, she can use this part of it, she doesn't need this. Let it go out in her poop and her pee. Okay. so that all the rest of the organ systems are great and there's no inflammation, then there's no increased risk of big bad ugly things happening. So part of this is that I think medicine in general, we need a better PR department. We need to get out there and say this more. We need other doctors. And this is the thing, doctors that stay inside of the way we were taught don't have really the resources to take the time to read the new stuff, to understand it, how they're going to incorporate it in their daily, in the way that they treat patients. It takes people like myself that said, I'm kind of done with that. I'm going to step outside of here. I'm going to read for myself. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to synthesize this information. And oh, this is how this looks now. It looks like giving a woman a 3-month jump start. It looks like helping her to understand how her body works. It looks like empowering people with information, because an informed refusal is just as important as informed consent, so that they can make the right decision for themselves.
I mean, I don't even know what to say after that. It's gonna be like, "Amen." No, but it's true because I'm sitting here having this conversation with you, and I just thinking about prior conversations and just I don't think a lot of doctors out there are equipped
They
with the
aren't.
information that you just shared, which is incredibly disturbing.
And you have to think about this. So I've been practicing for 20 plus years now. I was just out of getting my long white coat, getting my tassel turned on my cap from medical school, just gotten my MD, and they then said, by the way, women shouldn't be taking this. So you have doctors that have been out here practicing this long that have been told hormones are bad, women aren't suffering that much. Menopause in residency, we only got about maybe 10 hours of talk around menopause. We're taught to deliver babies, we're taught to do surgeries. That's what we are taught. And so being able to sit and go, okay, palpitations, this, and it's all these different organ systems that are involved, because you are a complete person. Okay. So
Wow.
all these different organ systems, and medicine has taken us and has put us in our silos of medicine. We've dismembered the body, and everybody just looks at their particular area. So the cardiologist only looks at the heart. The gastroenterologist only looks at your gut. The OBGYN only looks at your uterus and your ovaries and maybe your breast, if that is your well woman exam, right? And so this is what has happened, and we have dismembered the body. I say all the time, we've got to reconnect the head to the body, because I'm going to go off on a little tangent. I feel like the church took from the neck up and science took from the neck down. And we got to put it back together, because there are chemicals that happen here that tell the body what to do and what's going on. And so if we put that back together, we can start seeing, oh, she's saying this, she's saying that, oh, she's of a particular age, oh, she's had a lot of stress in her life. Maybe her body isn't able to do what it should used to do to be able to bounce back from those stressors. Okay, let's start looking at this as a global thing and not as a particular organ system.
I love it. I love everything that you just shared. Oh my goodness. I We could talk forever. You were absolutely right. We could talk forever. We really could. And I've learned so much. I really have. I don't even know how to do this segue because of everything you just said. To the next question, but I'm gonna make it happen. Um, if you had to choose one word to represent your goals for this year, what would it be and why?
Ease.
Oh, okay.
Ease is my word for representing my goals. And the reason it is that word is because we should not be pushing against anything.
Oh, yes.
If it has resistance, mm-mm. And I think that's why I love water so much too.
Oh, me
Because
too. I'm such a water person. Yeah.
water, if it hits up against resistance, it finds another way. So ease, and can I add another one? Ease and flow.
Yeah.
is really what
I'll let you sneak in too. That's okay. I'll
is
let you the little one, they go together. That's fine.
good. Yeah, that's what I really have been practicing for this year, ease and flow.
I love that so much, and I need to incorporate that too because I'm so much of a work person, and so it's been so difficult. I've been really I know this sounds crazy, but I've been really trying to practice that myself, resting,
Mm,
forcing
yes.
myself to, "Hey, you can just watch a show for a second without having to work on your podcast or work on that voiceover project or work on you can just sit." I've been really trying to practice that. So I love the fact that you said ease, and we'll let the little guy flow in there as well. So we'll put ease and flow together. Love that. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I know the audience has as well. One last question before we end the episode. How do you empower your patients to actively participate in their health decisions? That I mean, what you've shared, if y'all are sitting back letting that doctor take control based off of what we just heard, and you don't know how much information they've tried to gain over their career, just saying. So anyway,
I I encourage conversation during my visits with my patient. I go in with an open heart, and there are times where I will literally whisper a prayer while I'm talking with a patient and just go, "Okay, what do we need to do today?" And there are times where I will say, I'll pause with my agenda and I'll say, "What is it that you need me to help you with?"
yeah.
Because you're in the driver's seat, I'm in the passenger seat, and you know where you're going. And so I'm just going to put in the GPS coordinates because I think I know how to get us there. That's what my thing is.
I love that.
So you tell me, matter of fact, I actually just did that with a patient today. I there were a lot of different things that she kept talking about. And I was like, okay, hold on. Let's take a 30,000-foot view. Let's stop, let's get out of the weeds. Let's come
Mhm.
back and you tell me what are your major concerns right now. And as she started, I was like, okay, now I'm able to say, okay, this is how we're going to get to your destination, how we're going to get out of these weeds and get over here. So I really encourage you having a conversation with me and saying what you're looking for, because doctors go in with a whole laundry list in our heads that we've been taught. And a lot of times we're just trying to check off that list and go, okay, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. Okay, what is it? What is it? What is it? Because we're taught to give an ICD-10 code to something. And there's
Mm.
a lot of things out there that don't have an ICD-10 code. So this is how I encourage empowerment is I encourage conversation and I encourage listening for myself.
Yeah.
Because I had a great teacher in one of my rotations when I started residency. He was in the ICU, and he said, "Your patients tell you what's wrong with you if you just listen."
Ugh, I wish I could clone you and whoever trained you and that person, just have little baby clones all over the place and disperse you guys throughout the US or throughout the world. Um, I have Dr. LaKeisha, I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I've learned so much. I know the audience has as well. If they want to connect with you, how can they go about doing so?
Absolutely. First of all, you can find me on all social media platforms at Dr. LaKeisha MD. That's DrLakeishamD. And if you want to go ahead and schedule that virtual consult visit with me, go ahead and go to talkhormones.com. I do have a freebie for your guest if that's okay.
Yes,
Can
of
I give
course.
it
Yes,
to
I'll be
you? Okay,
sure to
great.
include that in the description as well.
So if you want to go ahead and start cracking your hormone code, go to hormonequiz.co. That's hormonequiz.co. And you can grab your freebie, get your quiz, and start cracking your hormone code. And then I'll see you for your consult visit.
Oh my goodness. Dr. LaKeisha, like I said, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.